Hey everyone, it's Alex, and welcome to the Marvel Snap Decks of the Week, the weekly series where I showcase the top, I think it's 12 decks, and actually count them in advance. We got Deadpool's Diner decks, we have ranked decks, we have decks for the weekend missions, including Jim Hammond and Viv Vision, because naturally they got bumped up pretty significantly for the remainder of the month, so you're going to want to take advantage of that. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about a lot of different decks here, and it is worth noting that good decks in ranked will also probably be good decks in Deadpool's Diner, but we do have some variation and some kind of standout, so we'll talk about those. Now we'll get started with Viv Vision. This is one of the bonus decks because Viv Vision, obviously you want to get that weekend mission done for those extra credits. This is the top performing Viv Vision shell running a 56% win rate. It does feature the likes of Nebula, which is kind of interesting, but more or less what this is, it is a buff-centric Surfer deck. You're trying to lean into every card that not only buffs naturally alongside the Silver Surfer, but also wants to get buffs. You have the Human Torches, you have the Captain Carters, you have the Sebastian Shaws. You're not running Sarah in this deck. It's all about getting Viv Vision out there early, buffing as many things as possible, getting massive broods out there later on, and etc. Okay, that's what this deck's all about. Viv Vision, 56% win rate. You're going to want to get that weekend mission done because it's worth so much extra credits for the remainder of the season. So that's solid. A lot. We're getting a lot this week, right? Deadpool's Diner, I mean, we're not talking on the pod, but man, they actually really cooked here. I really like the changes, and the rewards are very accessible. So kudos to Second Dinner for this past week, man. It's a great time to be playing Snap, I'll tell you that. Going to the next one, I'll talk about some of the decks for specifically Deadpool's Diner. Now, this is my personal choice. This is what I was playing, and I progressed very rapidly through Deadpool's Diner. I'm already at the max table. I've already unlocked the new card, etc. And it really did not take me that long. This was by far one of the easiest. I wouldn't even call it a grind. It wasn't that. It was actually like an enjoyable experience to unlock the new card. Second Dinner actually cooked here. Now, Clog is cringe. I get it. But if you're looking to actually like win games and like climb a little bit and get those bubs, I found this to be very successful. Now, my version, well, this version here is running the Annihilus package, whereas kind of other traditional clogs were running like, you know, the Red Hulks and the Dr. Octopus. You could do that as well, right? You absolutely could do that particular line. I prefer the Annihilus side, and so I ran this. It's also worth knowing that Merlin is fantastic in these shells because it flips the hood with Polymorph. It can flip the Void with Polymorph, which gives you a backup plan if you don't draw into your Annihilus or your Viper and etc. Right? So really like what this deck does, and naturally with Deadpool's Diner, it seems as though Clog is in a good spot, specifically because Killmonger's out of the meta, right? With Killmonger being completely nerfed and irrelevant, it allows Clog to really shine. So if you're looking to be successful in Deadpool's Diner, this is my personal pick. This is what I've been playing. And then we have the actual statistical from Untapped running a 61% win rate. We have Hammond Agamotto. Now this is actually pretty interesting here. Now Hammond had some bright spots playing Fallen One, and those Fallen One decks aren't too bad, especially the Nimrod shells. We will talk about Nimrod later, but it doesn't feature Hammond. The better version of Nimrod does not have Hammond in it, which is exactly what I was worried about in the first place. But this deck here utilizes a lot of different ramp options. Alongside, obviously, you have the Bolts of Ballsack from Agamotto. You know, you have the Herbie. You have options of like ramping, and of course, you have Merlin's. You know, once in future as well. So you have these opportunities to kind of like incrementally buff up Jim Hammond Human Torch, and it's worth giving it a shot for the weekend mission if you have Jim Hammond and you want to see if it can get it done. Now, obviously, this has Agamotto. This is kind of a more expensive deck. It has Nicholas Scratch in it, Herbie. It's actually a surprisingly expensive deck. But if you're looking to get the Jim Hammond mission done in the what's it called, in Deadpool's Diner, you can definitely do this. If not, you can use the Jim Rod deck that I featured in my Jim Hammond video, because that's what I did to get the missions done, and it was great. And yeah, it's good. And if you don't have that, I'll show you what to sub out in the future kind of deck that I'll showcase there. So we have Namora running a 62% win rate, and this is good in Deadpool's Diner because, again, Shang-Chi's not being played Deadpool's Diner. I guess because there's less emphasis on clean, straight-up winning in Deadpool's Diner. People aren't running as much tech, plus it obviously got neutered quite a bit. So Namora actually being playable here. Now, of course, this version of Namora is running Frankie Ray. If you don't have Frankie Ray and you still want to play this, you could theoretically put something down there like a Colossus or whatever, right? Like you could put another card worth hitting. Even Nightcrawler, honestly, has traditionally been pretty good in these types of decks because if you're hitting the Namora, you can move the Nightcrawler to an individual location, give it a pump, or give it a pump from an individual location, then move it afterwards, right? So without Frankie Ray, the deck is a little weaker, but it's still playable overall. Obviously, Shangers has something to say about this particular deck. I do like the combination of like having the option of you can do the Zola Black Panther route. You can do some other stuff with because I personally really like the Symbiote Spider-Man into Black Panther into the Zola line. It's a little obvious, but nobody's running Shang-Chi right now because it lost a little bit of power. It's still a good card. No one's running Shangers, and so as a result, these Black Panthers just pop off on Deadpool's Diner, and there's no point in retreating, so you see the game's out, which honestly I've been loving so much. I know this is a hot take, but like retreating has been driving me nuts lately. I just want to see games through sometimes, right? It's just fun to see games through, and finally we're seeing that with Deadpool's Diner. It's actually been a bit of a breath of fresh air, so I've been enjoying it. Namora is a good option there, and the top deck for Deadpool's Diner is going to be Nimrod, 64% win rate. Now, in this particular deck, if you're wishing to play Jim Hammond in it, you could make a couple changes here. You would need to get in Fallen One and Jim Hammond. You would likely be cutting Phoenix Force for the Fallen One, and then you are likely to be taking out Surge or Mr. Fantastic First Steps for Jim Hammond, right? So either Surge, Fanta, or Phoenix Force out, and Jim Hammond and the Fallen One in, and you have yourself essentially what that deck was. And yeah, that'll get you the Jim Hammond mission done. And it's kind of cool seeing Nimrod. And again, it's like the Nimrod, it's the Black Panther, it's the Symbiote Spider-Man. That's kind of carrying the fact that like people aren't playing tech, and so you're able to win bubs pretty easily in Deadpool's Diner. And now we're talking about our purely ranked decks for ladder here, and we're going to start with Fallen Nimrod, which once again is another take on the Nimrod base shell that we just talked about with Deadpool's Diner. This one here is actually running Iron Lad and the Fallen One, and it's good, man. Running a 58% win rate and a 0.61 cube rate, it's pretty solid in ranked ladder. Doesn't surprise me that the win rates are a little lower compared to Deadpool's Diner, because I guess on ladder people are going to be trying a little harder, playing a little more tech, and etc., which makes sense. Deadpool's Diner is kind of like a whimsical dream of Marvel Snap, which is great, but when it comes down to rank, there's more tech out there. So cards like Black Panther, Nimrod, and stuff like that, they'll get hit by the Shangers, they'll get hit by the Shadow Kings and stuff along those lines. But honestly, it's doing really well. And to be honest with you, I feel like Symbiote Spider-Man is an absolute unsung hero in the last little kind of pocket meta we've had over the couple weeks here. Symbiote Spider-Man has activated so many different combos, and it is legitimately a good card. And I think that we're starting to see not only how good it does with regards to its power levels and what it enables combo-wise, but it's also kind of telegraphed. And so as a result, when you kind of get rid of Shang-Chi from the meta, for the most part, it's harder to deal with these highly telegraphed plays. And I think that part of the reason why you're seeing people retreat so often is because they don't have the tech answers to steal the cubes away. They just have to walk away from the games, which I think has had a very interesting impact on Snap. And I think with the changes we've seen to the tech cards, I've kind of realized it feels like, there's less swingy games sometimes because of the tech. And maybe that's what people want, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. But anyways, Fallen Nimrod doing well. We keep talking about Nimrod here. It's just doing well. We'll go to Heimdall Move. There's actually 2 move decks in the top 10, statistically, according to Untapped. Running 60% win rate and a 0.48 cube rate, what we have here is a straight-up Heimdall Move that actually features Goliath in it as well. Lot to love in this particular deck. It also features Cosmo, which is great for protecting the likes of your Human Torch from the Shang-Chi, from the Shadow King, and etc. Sparky does make this shell as well. It's pretty interesting to see how much power Move is able to generate right now. Hellion making this deck too, because you just want to be moving things around and of course having options on turn 6, especially since you can move something to a Hellion location and then play the Heimdall. You get to double dip on the effect, and so that's pretty neat. But long story short, Heimdall Move running a 60% win rate and a 0.48 cube rate. Going a little faster today, that's okay. We have Surtur running a 60% win rate and a 0.49 cube rate. Surtur has been a standout ever since the tech cards were changed in Marvel Snap. We're seeing this deck being one of the primary choices towards ranking up to Infinite and beyond. It is just going unchecked. I mean, Shadow King doesn't really do much to this. It kind of hits the Surtur and the Ares, I guess, but other than that, it doesn't do much. And Shang-Chi is just not seeing as much play, despite the fact that for the most part, it's still good, which is, I feel like, the 5th time I've said that in this video. Shang-Chi is still a good card. But anyways, for that reason, Surtur feels much more confident to play, and it does tend to do a pretty good job of putting big chunks into multiple positions. And this is one of the few circumstances where the 5/8 Enchantress actually feels really good, because if you're in a position where you play the Typhoid Mary down and you play it on top of their Captain Carter or whatever, you can very naturally play the Enchantress, disable the Typhoid Mary, and knock out their ongoing cards, right? It's kind of interesting what you've been able to do. I have not felt like the 5/8 Enchantress has been a nerf, and I wonder if it stays, because it kind of has felt fine, like absolutely fine. A little bit of extra power, waiting a little later into the game to see how the board state is so you can impact their plays with greater effectiveness with Enchantress. So I've kind of been someone who thinks the Enchantress change is maybe a net positive. I don't know. Kind of crazy to think about it. A little extra power, a little extra cost, but it works out well in this curve. Obviously, it doesn't work as well with Red Skull, but overall, it's still doing pretty good. So Surtur coming in at number 5. Number 4, we do have Zoo. Zoo, this is a bit of a different variation of Zoo. Zoo's been pretty good ever since Killmonger obviously got nerfed. But this variation is running the Spider Ham. It's got the Surge in there as well. It's got Mobius and Mobius, which is pretty helpful in the given meta. And then, of course, you have your closers like your Blue Marvel into Gilgamesh, Mockingbird, etc. Really like Zoo, man. Zoo's a great deck to be playing right now. It is running a 61% win rate and 0.49 cube rate. These are excellent numbers. And the only thing in here that kind of drives me nuts is Shauna. I'll be honest with you, Shauna seems to like blade my Gilgamesh and stuff like that on a very frequent basis. But overall, this deck is really well balanced here. It does a great job against a lot of the cost discounting stuff we're seeing out there. It also does a great job of putting up impressive power on turn 5 and 6 alongside Gilgamesh Mockingbird, who's often nearly free. You can also combo Gilgamesh into something like a Squirrel Girl if you so happen to. So this deck is solid, a great choice if you're looking to rank up towards Infinite this season. And that's going to take us into our top 3, and we do have a new entry in the top 3, which is going to be the 61% win rate and astonishingly high 0.57 cube rate Redwing Gman deck. Now this here is a Redwing Move deck utilizing Sparky. We have Ghost Spider, we have Iron Fist, and Aranya. All these are utilizing the Redwing in order to bring some chunks on the board, including the likes of the Infinite and G-Man itself. We have Blink making an appearance here as well. Luna Snow, who's a card that I absolutely love. Luna Snow is so underappreciated in Marvel. Like, guys, it is a 3/6 ramp option. It's probably one of the most, like, I don't want to say overpowered cards in Snap. It's definitely overstated, like well overstated Luna Snow. Yes, you give your opponent some ramp, but man, is this a great card. And honestly, it's been doing work. This deck's just a really interesting and fun design, and I'm glad we're seeing a little bit of interesting stuff entering the top 10, especially as we have the tech cards out and about. And this isn't even that like susceptible to tech cards, right? I mean, if you do have the Human Torch that does technically get impacted quite significantly by Shadow King and stuff like that, and obviously you have the big chunks that like to get hit by the Shang-Chi. But overall, this is an interesting cook, and I'm glad to see that we're still cooking here in Marvel Snap. Bring us to number 2. This is not necessarily a cook, but it's End of Turn. End of Turn is still doing End of Turn things. It's still a good deck. This is currently the highest performing version of End of Turn. Again, not running Prodigy, which is kind of interesting. But a lot of people still playing the Prodigy version. In terms of actual games played, Prodigy is very high. However, if you're looking for statistically simply the best version, this is currently that, running a 62% win rate and a 0.50 cube rate. A solid deck overall, still playing havoc on the end of the game, kind of turn 6, is still remarkably powerful. The jury's still out on Stardust. In conversation with a few people on stream, people seem to be thinking that Stardust might be pretty legit. It's a good catch-all, and it has the echo effect. People are not really paying attention to Stardust, and they're like trying to play their broods down, or they're not sure if, oh, does Doctor Doom get impacted by Stardust? I don't know. I guess we'll science it type thing. So Stardust seems to be catching a lot of people by surprise and generating some cube equity, which is cool to see. But yeah, End of Turn, nothing too fancy here. Still number 2. It's consistently been like at the top. It's been top 3 for like the last several months. Then we go to the number 1 deck of the week, and it's Agatha Hela. Man, this deck has really started to take off. Redshift is completely changed the way Agatha is being played. You have the Hela version. I've seen some cooks with Morgan Le Fay too. They haven't quite made it, but we have ourselves a very interesting meta now because you have the Lockjaw variation, which is so interesting here. And you have so many avenues to bring things back. You have the Ghost Rider, you have the Hela, of course. Now, this particular version is not running Black Knight, which is interesting, and I double checked, and this version is currently outperforming the Black Knight version. Guys, it's running a 0.67 cube rate and a 63% win rate. Guys, this deck is legit. Like, I can't believe it, but Agatha is unironically at the top of the meta right now. If you're looking to rank up, this is going to be the top performing deck in the game right now from a cube rate and a win rate perspective. It's absolutely crushing it. You can take it into Diner as well. That's great, actually. If you're looking at this deck, you're like, man, these play patterns are really weird. Like, I kind of want to practice, not in rank. Practice in Deadpool's Diner. It's a great opportunity. You get a ton of interesting rewards, and you get to practice playing a deck that's kind of unique and well cooked. This deck is a real one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you on the next one.